Barashyt, chapter 41. And it came to be, at the end of 2 years' time, that Pharaoh had a dream, and saw him standing by a river, and saw 7 cows coming up out of the river, fine looking and fat, and they fed amongst the reeds. Then saw 7 other cows coming up after them out of the river, ugly and lean of flesh, and stood by the other cows on the bank of the water. And the ugly and lean fleshed cows ate up the 7 fine-looking and fat cows. Then Pharaoh awoke, and he slept and had dreamed a second time, and saw 7 heads of grain coming up on one stalk, plump and good, and saw 7 lean heads scorched by the east wind coming up after them, and the 7 lean heads swallowed the 7 plump and complete heads. Then Pharaoh awoke and saw it was a dream. And it came to be Bakar that his rook was moved, and he sent and called for all the magicians of Mitzrayim and all its wise males, and Pharaoh related to them his dreams. But there was no one who could interpret them for Pharaoh. Then the chief cupbearer spoke to Pharaoh, saying, I remember my crimes this day, when Pharaoh was wroth with his servant, and put me in confinement in the house of the captain of the guard, both me and the chief baker. Each one of us dreamed a dream in one night, he and I. Each of us dreamed according to the interpretation of his own dream. And there was with us an Abri youth, a servant of the captain of the guard, and we related to him, and he interpreted our dreams for us. To each male he interpreted according to his own dream. And it came to be as he interpreted for us, so it came to be. He restored me to my office, and he hung him. Then Pharaoh sent and called Yusuf, and they hurriedly brought him out of the dungeon. And he shaved and changed his garments, and came to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Yusuf, I have dreamed a dream, and there is no one to interpret it. Now I myself have heard it said that of you that you understand a dream to interpret it. And Yusuf answered Pharaoh, saying, It is not in me. Let Elohim answer Pharaoh with peace. And Pharaoh said to Yusuf, See, in my dream I stood on the bank of the river, and saw 7 cows coming up out of the river, fine looking and fat, and they fed amongst the reeds. Then saw 7 other cows coming up after them, poor and very ugly and lean of flesh, such ugliness as I have never seen in all the land of Mitzrayim. And the lean of the flesh and the ugly cows ate up the first 7, the fat cows. Yet when they had eaten them up, no one would have known that they had eaten them, for they were as ugly as at the beginning. Then I awoke. Also, I looked in my dream, and saw 7 heads coming up in one stalk, complete and good. Then saw 7 heads withered, lean, scorched by the east wind, coming up after them. And the lean heads swallowed up the 7 good heads. And I spoke to the magicians, but there was no one who could explain it to me. And Yusuf said to Pharaoh, The dream of Pharaoh is one. Elohim has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are the 7 years, and the 7 good heads are the 7 years. It is one dream. And the 7 lean and ugly cows which came up after them are 7 years. And the 7 empty heads scorched by the east wind are 7 years of scarcity of food. This is the word which I spoke to Pharaoh. Elohim has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. See, 7 years of great plenty are coming in all the land of Mitzrayim, but after them 7 years of scarcity of food shall arise, and all the plenty be forgotten in the land of Mitzrayim. And the scarcity of food shall destroy the land, and the plenty shall not be remembered in the land, because of the scarcity of food following, for it is very severe. And the dream was repeated to Pharaoh twice, because the word is established by Elohim, and Elohim is hastening to it. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise male, and appoint him over the land of Mitzrayim, Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint overseers over the land, to take up 1/5 of the land of Mitzrayim, and the 7 years of plenty, and let them gather all the food of those good years that are coming, and store up grain under the hand of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities, and their food shall be for a store for the land for 7 years of the scarcity of food, which shall be in the land of Mitzrayim. And do not let the land be cut off by the scarcity of food. And the word of Pharaoh, and the word was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of all his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, could we find another like him, a male in whom is the root of Elohim? Then Pharaoh said to Yusuf, since Elohim has shown you all this, there is no one as discerning and wise as you. Be over my house, you yourself, and at your word all my people shall be equipped. Only in the throne am I greater than you. And Pharaoh said to Yusuf, see, I have appointed you over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh took his seal ring off his hand and put it on Yusuf's hand, and he dressed him in garments of fine linen, and put a gold chain around his neck. And he had him ride in the second chariot which he had. And they cried out before him, bow the knee. And he appointed him over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh said to Yusuf, I am Pharaoh, and without you let no male lift his hand or foot in all the land of Mitzrayim. And Pharaoh called Yusuf's name Zaptanah Paneah, and he gave him as a wife Asenath, the daughter of Puti Parah, Kohanim of Un. And Yusuf went out over all the land of Mitzrayim. Now Yusuf was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, sovereign of Mitzrayim. And Yusuf went out from the presence of Pharaoh, and went throughout all the land of Mitzrayim. And in the 7 years of the plenty, the ground brought forth generously, and he gathered all the food of the 7 years which were in the land of Mitzrayim. He laid up the food in the cities, he laid up in every city the food of the fields which surrounded them. Thus Yusuf gathered very much grain, as the sand of the sea, until he ceased counting, for it was without number. And Yusuf bore 2 banim before the years of scarcity of food came, who Asenath, the daughter of Puti Parah, Kohan of Un, bore to him. And Yusuf called the name of the firstborn Manasseh, for Elohim has made me forget all my toil and all my father's house. And the name of the second one was called Ephraim, for Elohim has caused me to bear fruit in the land of my affliction. And the 7 years of plenty which were in the land of Mitzrayim came to an end, and the 7 years of scarcity of food began to come, as Yusuf had said. And the scarcity of food was in all the lands, but in all the land of Mitzrayim there was bread. But when all the land of Mitzrayim hungered, and the people cried to Pharaoh for bread, Pharaoh said to all the Mitzrites, go to Yusuf, do whatever he says to you. And the scarcity of food was over all the face of the Eretz. And Yusuf opened all the storehouses and sold to the Mitzrites. And the scarcity of food was severe in the land of Mitzrayim. And all the Eretz came to Yusuf in Mitzrayim to buy grain, because the scarcity of food was severe in all the Eretz. Chapter 42. And when Yaakov saw that there was grain in Mitzrayim, Yaakov said to his banim, why do you look at each other? And he said, see, I have heard that there is grain in Mitzrayim. Go down to that place and buy for us there, and let us live and not die. And Yusuf's 10 brothers went down to buy grain in Mitzrayim. But Yaakov did not send Yusuf's brother Benjamin with his brothers, for he said, lest some harm come to him. And the banim of Israel went to buy grain among those who journeyed, for the scarcity of food was in the land of Canaan. And Yusuf was the governor over the land. He was the one who sold to all the people of the land. And Yusuf's brothers came and bowed down before him with their faces to the Eretz. And Yusuf saw his brothers and recognized them, but he acted as a stranger to them, and spoke to them harshly, and said to them, "Where do you come from?" And they said, "From the land of Canaan to buy food." So Yusef recognized his brothers, but they did not recognize him. And Yusef remembered the dreams which he had dreamed about them, and he said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see the nakedness of the land." And they said to him, "No, my master, but your servants have come to buy food. We are all one male's bond. Neem, we are trustworthy. Your servants are not spies." But he said to them, "No, but you have come to see the nakedness of the land." And they said, "Your servants are 12 brothers, the Banim of one male in the land of Canaan. And see, the youngest is with our father today, and one is no more." And Yusef said to them, "It is as I spoke to you, saying you are spies. By this you shall be proven, by the height of Pharaoh. You do not leave this place unless your youngest brother comes here. Send one of you, and let him bring your brother, while you are kept in the prison. So let your words be proven to you, and see whether there is any truth in you, or else by the height of Pharaoh you are spies." And he put them all together in prison for 3 days. Now Yusef said to them the third day, "Do this and live, for I revere Elohim. If you are trustworthy, let one of your brothers be confined to your prison house, and you go and bring grain for the scarcity of food for your houses. And bring your youngest brother to me, and let your words be confirmed, and you do not die." And so they did. And they said to each other, "Truly, we are guilty concerning our brother, for we saw the distress of his height when he pleaded with us, and yet we did not listen. That is why this distress has come upon us." And Reuben answered them, saying, "Did I not speak to you, saying, 'Do not crime against the boy'? And you would not listen? And see, his blood is now required of us." And they did not know that Yusef understood them, for he spoke to them through an interpreter. And he turned himself away from them and wept, but came back to them and spoke to them. And he took Shimon from them and bound him before their eyes. And Yusef commanded, and they filled their sacks with grain, also to put back every male's silver in his sack, and to give them food for the journey. And thus it was done for them. So they loaded their donkeys with the grain and went from there. And as one of them opened his sack to give his donkey fodder at the lodging place, he saw his silver, for there it was in the mouth of his sack. And he said to his brothers, "My silver has been returned, and there it is in my sack." And their hearts sank, and they were afraid, saying to each other, "What is this that Elohim has done to us?" So they came to Yaakub their father in the land of Canaan, and reported to him all that befell them, saying, "The male, the master of the land, spoke to us harshly, and he took us for spies. But we said to him, 'We are trustworthy, we are not spies. We are 12 brothers, Banim of our father. One is no more, and the youngest is today with our father in the land of Canaan.' And the male, the master of the land, said to us, 'By this I know that you are trustworthy. Leave one of your brothers here with me, and take food for the scarcity of food of your households, and go. And bring your youngest brother to me. Then I know that you are not spies, but that you are trustworthy. I give you your brother to you, and you move about in the land.' And it came to be as they emptied their sacks that look, the bundle of each male's silver was in his sack. And when they and their father saw the bundles of silver, they were afraid. And Yaakub their father said to them, 'You have bereaved me. Yusef is no more, and Shimon is no more, and you would take Benjamin? All this is against me.' And so Reuben spoke to his father, saying, 'Take the lives of my 2 Banim if I do not bring him back to you. Put him in my hands, and I myself bring him back to you.' And he said, 'My bond is not going down with you, for his brother is dead, and he is left alone. If any harm should come to him along the way in which you go, then you would bring me down in my gray hair with sorrow to the grave.'" Chapter 43. But the scarcity of food was severe in the land, and it came to be, when they had eaten up the grain which they had brought from Mitzrayim, that their father said to them, "Go back, buy us a little food." But Yehudah spoke to him, saying, "The male vehemently warned us, saying, 'You do not see my face unless your brother is with you.' If you let our brother go with us, we go down and buy you food. But if you do not let him go, we do not go down, because the male said to us, you do not see my face unless your brother is with you. And Yisrael said, why did you do evil to me to inform the male that you still had a brother? And they said, the male kept asking about us and our relatives, saying, is your father still alive? Have you a brother? And we informed him according to these words. How could we know that he would say, bring your brother down? And Yehuda said to Yisrael, his father, send the boy with me, and let us arise and go and live and not die, both we and you, and also our little ones. I myself shall stand guaranteer for him. For my hand you are to require him. If I do not bring him back to you and put him before you, then let me bear the blame forever. For if we had not delayed, truly by now we could have returned this second time. And their father Yisrael said to them, if so, then do this. Take some of the best fruit of the land in your vessels, and bring a present down for the male, a little balm and a little honey, spices and myrrh, nuts and almonds. And take double silver in your hand, and take back in your hand the silver that was returned in the mouth of your sacks. It could have been a mistake. And take your brother, and arise, go back to the male, and Al Shaddai give to you compassion before the male, so that he shall release your other brother and Benjamin. And I, if I am bereaved, I am bereaved. And the males took that present and Benjamin, and they took double the amount of silver in their hand, and arose and went down to Mitzrayim, and stood before Yusuf. And Yusuf saw Benjamin with them, and said to the one over his house, bring the males home, and make a great slaughter, and prepare, for these males are to eat with me at noon. And the male did as Yusuf said, and the male brought the males into Yusuf's house. And the males were afraid, because they were brought into Yusuf's house. And they said, it is because of the silver, which was put back into our sacks the first time, that we are brought in, to throw himself upon us, and to fall upon us, to take us as slaves, our donkeys too. So they came near to the male over the house of Yusuf, and spoke to him at the door of the house, and said, O my master, we indeed came down the first time to buy food. But it came to be, when we came to the lodging place, that we opened our sacks, and saw each male silver in the mouth of his sack, our silver and its weight. And we have brought it back in our hand, and we have brought down other silver in our hands to buy food. We do not know who put the silver in our sacks. But he said, peace be with you. Do not be afraid. Your Elohim and the Elohim of your father has given you treasure in your sacks. Your silver had come to me, and he brought Shimun out to them. And the male brought the males into Yusuf's house, and gave them water, and they washed their feet, and gave their donkeys fodder, and they made the present ready for Yusuf's coming at noon, for they heard that they were to eat there. And when Yusuf came home, they brought him the present which was in their hand into the house, and bowed down before him to the eretz. And he asked them about their welfare, and said, is your father good? The old male whom you spoke of, is he still alive? And they said, your servant, our father, is in good bereavement. He is still alive. And they bowed their heads down and did obedience. And he lifted his eyes and saw his brother, Benjamin, his mother's bond, and said, is this your younger brother, of whom you spoke to me? And he said, Elohim show favor to you, my bond. And Yusuf heard, for his emotions were deeply moved towards his brothers, and he looked to weep, went into his room and wept there. Then he washed his face and came out and controlled himself, and said, serve the food. And they placed him by himself, and them by themselves, and the Mitzrayites who ate with him by themselves. For the Mitzrayites could not eat food with the Abarim, for that is an abomination to the Mitzrayites. For they sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the males looked at each other in astonishment, And he took portions to them from before them, but Benjamin's portion was 5 times as much as any of theirs. And they feasted and they drank with him. Chapter 44. And he commanded the one over his house, saying, Fill the male sacks with food, as they are able to bear, and put each male silver in the mouth of his sack, and put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest, and the silver for his grain. And he did according to the word of Yosef, which he spoke. As soon as the car was light, the males were sent away, and their donkeys. And when they had gone out of the city, not having gone far, Yosef said to the one over his house, Rise up, follow the males, and when you overtake them, say to them, Why have you repaid evil for good? Is this not the one from which my master drinks, and with which he indeed divines, and have done evil in what you have done? So he overtook them, and spoke these words to them. They said to him, Why does my master say these words? Far be it from us that your servants should do according to this word. See, we brought to you from the land of Canaan the silver which we found in the mouth of our sacks. How then should we steal silver or gold from your master's house? With whomever of your servants it is found, he shall die, and we shall become my master's slaves also. And he said, Now also let it be according to your words. He whom it is found becomes my slave, and you are innocent. And they hurried each male and let down his sack to the ground, and each opened his sack. And he searched with the oldest first and the youngest last, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. And they tore their garments, and each male loaded his donkey, and went back to the city. And Yehudah and his brothers came to Yosef's house, and he was still there. They fell before him on the ground. And Yosef said to them, What deed is this you have done? Did you not know that a male like me indeed divines? And Yehudah said, What do we say to my master, or what do we speak, or how do we clear ourselves? Elohim has found out the wickedness of your servants. See, we are my master's slaves, both we and he also with whom the cup was found. But he said, Far be it from me to do this. The male in whose hand the cup was found, he becomes my slave. And you, go up in peace to your father. And Yehudah came near to him and said, O my master, please let your servant speak a word in my master's hearing. And do not let your displeasure burn against your servant, for you are like Pharaoh. My master asked his servant, saying, Have you a father or a brother? And we said to my master, We have a father, an old male, and his young child of his old age, and his brother is dead, and he is alone left of his mother's children, and his father loves him. And you said to your servants, Bring him down to me, and let me lay my eyes on him. And we said to my master, The boy is not able to leave his father, for if he leaves his father shall die. But you said to your servants, Unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you do not see my face again. And it came to be, when we went up to your servant, my father, that we told him the words of our master. And our father said, Go back and buy us a little food. But we said, We are not able to go down if our youngest brother is with us. Or if our youngest brother is with us, then we shall go down, for we are not able to see the male's face unless our younger brother is with us. Then your servant, my father, said to us, You know that my wife bore me 2 banim, and they went out from me, and I said, Truly he is torn to pieces. And I have not seen him since. And if you take this one from me too, and harm comes to him, you shall bring down my gray hair with evil to the grave. And now, if I come to your servant, my father, and the boy is not with us, since his own height is bound up in his height, then it shall be, when he sees that the boy is not with us, that he shall die. So your servants shall bring down the gray hair of your servant, our father, with sorrow to the grave. For your servant went guaranteer for the boy to my father, saying, If I do not bring him back to you, then I shall be a transgressor before my father forever. And now, please let your servant remain instead of the boy as a slave to my master, and let the boy go up with his brothers. For how do I go to my father if the boy is not with me, lest I see the evil that would come upon my father? Chapter 45. And Yosef was unable to restrain himself before all those who stood by him. And he called out, "Have everyone go out from me." So no one stood within while Yusuf made himself known to his brothers. And he wept aloud, and the Mitzrites, the house of Pharaoh, heard it. And Yusuf said to his brothers, "I am Yusuf. Is my father still alive?" But his brothers were unable to answer him, for they trembled before him. Then Yusuf said to his brothers, "Please come near to me." And when they came near, he said, "I am Yusuf, your brother, whom you sold to Mitzrayim. And now do not be grieved nor displeased with yourself because you sold me here, for Elohim sent me before you to preserve Hai. For 2 years now the scarcity of food has been in the land, and there are still 5 years in which there is neither plowing nor harvesting. And Elohim sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant in the Eretz, and to give height to you by a great escape. So then, you did not send me here, but Elohim, and he has appointed me for a father to Pharaoh, and master over all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Mitzrayim. Hurry, go up to my father, and say to him, Thus says your bond, Yusuf, Elohim has made me master over all Mitzrayim. Come down to me, do not delay, and you shall dwell in the land of Goshen, and be near to me, you and your children and your children's children, your flocks and your herds, and all that you have. And I shall provide for you there, lest you and your household and all that you have come to poverty, because the 5 years of scarcity of food are still to come. And look, your eyes and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see that it is my mouth that speaks to you. And you shall inform my father of all my esteem in Mitzrayim, and of all that you have seen. And you shall hurry and bring my father down here. And he fell on his brother Benjamin's neck and wept, and Benjamin wept on his neck. And he kissed all his brothers and wept over them. And after that his brothers spoke with him. And the report of it was heard by the house of Pharaoh, saying, The brothers of Yusuf have come, and it was good in the eyes of Pharaoh, and in the eyes of his servants. And Pharaoh said to Yusuf, Say to your brothers, Do this, load your beasts and go, enter the land of Canaan, and take your father and your households, and come to me. And I give you the best of the land of Mitzrayim, and you eat the fatness of the land. And you have been commanded to do this. Take wagons out of the land of Mitzrayim for your little ones and for your wives, and you shall bring your father and come. And do not be concerned about your goods, for the best of all the land of Mitzrayim is yours. And the Bani of Israel did so. And Yusuf gave them wagons according to the command of Pharaoh. And he gave them food for the journey. He gave to all of them, to each male, changes of garments. But to Benjamin he gave 300 pieces of silver, and 5 changes of garments. And he sent to his father this, 10 donkeys loaded with the best of Mitzrayim, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain and bread and food for his father for the journey. And so he sent his brothers away, and they left. And he said to them, Do not quarrel along the way. And they went up out of Mitzrayim, and came to the land of Canaan. And to Yaakub their father they told him, saying, Yusuf is still alive, and he is governor over all the land of Mitzrayim. And Yaakub's heart ceased, for he did not believe them. But when they spoke to him all the words which Yusuf had spoken to them, and when he saw the wagons which Yusuf had sent to transport him, the rook of Yaakub their father revived, and Yisrael said, Enough, my bond Yusuf is alive. Let me go and see him before I die. Chapter 46. And Yisrael departed with all that he had, and came to Barashyt, and brought offerings to the Elohim of his father Yitzchak. And Elohim spoke to Yisrael in the vision of the night, and said, Yaakub, Yaakub. And he said, Here I am. And he said, I am the Elohim of your father. Do not be afraid to go down to Mitzrayim, for I shall make you there into a great nation. I myself am going down with you. to Mitzrayim, and I myself shall certainly bring you up again, and let Yusuf put his hand on your eyes. And Yaakub rose up from Barashyt, and the Banim of Israel brought their father Yaakub and the little ones and their wives in the wagons which Pharaoh had sent to transport him. And they took their livestock and their property which they had acquired in the land of Canaan, and came into Mitzrayim, Yaakub and all his seed with him, his Banim and his Banim's Banim, his daughters and his Banim's daughters, and all his seed he brought with him to Mitzrayim. And these were the names of the children of Israel, Yaakub and his Banim, who came into Mitzrayim. Reuben was Yaakub's firstborn, and the Banim of Reuben, Kanuk, and Palu, and Hatzrun, and Carmi, and the Banim of Shimun, Yamual, and Yamin, and Uhad, and Yakin, and Zuhar, and Shaul, born of a Canaanite female, and the Banim of Lui, Gershon, Kahath, Merari, and the Banim of Yehuda are Unan, Shalah, Paratz, and Zerah. But Ar, and Unan died in the land of Canaan, and the Banim of Paratz were Hatzrun and Hamul, and the Banim of Yizakar, Tula, and Pu'ah, and Yua, and Yub, and Shimron, and the Banim of Zabulun, Sarad, and Alun, and Ya'la'al. These were the Banim of Leah, whom she bore to Yaakub and Padan Aram with his daughter Dinah. All the beings, his Banim and his daughters, were 33. And the Banim of Gad, Zifyan, and Hagi, Shuni, Atzbun, Ari, and Arudi, and Arali. And the Banim of Asher, Yimna, and Yeshua, and Yeshui, and Beriah, and Sarah, their sister, and the Banim of Bariah, Habar, and Malkiel. These were the Banim of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah, his daughter, and these she bore to Yaakub, 16 beings. The Banim of Rahal, Yaakub's wife, Yusef and Benjamin. And to Yusef in the land of Mitzrayim were born Manasseh and Ephraim, whom Asnath, the daughter of Putiparah, Kuhan of Un, bore to him. And the Banim of Benjamin, Bala, and Bakar, and Ashbal, Gara, and Naaman, Ahi, Rush, Mupim, and Hupim, and Ard. These were the Banim of Rahal, who were born to Yaakub, 14 beings in all. And the Banim of Dan, Hushim, and the Banim of Naphtali, Yatza'al, and Guni, and Yatzer, and Shalom. These were the Banim of Bilhah, whom Laban gave to Rahal, his daughter, and she bore these to Yaakub, 7 beings in all. All the beings who went with Yaakub to Mitzrayim, who came from his body besides Yaakub's Banim, wives, were 66 beings in all. And the Banim of Yusef, who were born to him in Mitzrayim, were 2 beings. All the beings of the house of Yaakub who went to Mitzrayim were 70. And he sent Yehuda before him to Yusef to point out before him the way of Gushan. And they came to the land of Gushan. And Yusef made his ready his chariot, and went up to Gushan to meet his father Yisrael. And he appeared to him, and fell on his neck, and wept on his neck a long time. And Yisrael said to Yusef, Now let me die, since I have seen your face, that you are still alive. And Yusef said to his brothers and to his father's household, I am going up to inform Pharaoh, and say to him, my brothers and those of my father's house, who are in the land of Canaan, have come to me, and the males are shepherds, that they have been males of livestock, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all that they have. And it shall be when Pharaoh calls you, and says, what is your occupation? That you shall say, your servants have been males of livestock from our youth even till now, both we and our fathers, so that you dwell in the land of Goshen, for every shepherd is an abomination to the Mitzrites. Chapter 47. Then Yusef went and spoke to Pharaoh, and said, my father and brothers, their flocks, their herds, and all that they possess have come from the land of Canaan, and see, they are in the land of Goshen. And he took 5 males from among his brothers, and presented them to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to his brothers, what is your occupation? And they said to Pharaoh, your servants are shepherds, both we and also our fathers. And they said to Pharaoh, we have come to dwell in the land because there is no pasture for your servants' flock. For the scarcity of food is severe in the land of Canaan. And now, please, let your servants dwell in the land of Goshen. And Pharaoh spoke to Yusef, saying, your father and your brothers have come to you. The land of Mitzrayim is before you. Settle your father and brothers in the best of the land. Let them dwell in the land of Goshen, and if you know of capable males among them, then make them chief herds males over my livestock. And Yusef brought in his father Yaakov, and stood him before Pharaoh. And Yaakov barak Pharaoh. And Pharaoh said to Yaakov, how much are the days of your height? And Yaakov said to Pharaoh, the days of the years of my sojournings are 130 years. Few and evil have been the days of my years of my height, and they have not reached the days of the years of the height of my fathers in the days of their sojournings. And Yaakov barak Pharaoh, and went out from before Pharaoh. So Yusef put his father and his brothers, and gave them a possession in the land of Mitzrayim, and the best of the land, and the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh had commanded. And Yusef provided his father and his brothers, and all his father's household with bread, for the mouth of the little ones. Now there was no bread in all the land, because the scarcity of food was very severe. And the land of Mitzrayim, and all the land of Canaan became exhausted from the scarcity of food. And Yusef gathered up all the silver that was found in the land of Mitzrayim, and the land of Canaan, for the grain which they bought. And Yusef brought the silver into Pharaoh's house. And when the silver was all spent in the land of Mitzrayim, and the land of Canaan, all the Mitzrites came to Yusef and said, give us bread, for why should we die in your presence? For the silver is gone. And Yusef said, give your livestock, and I give you bread for your livestock, if the silver is gone. So they brought their livestock to Yusef, and Yusef gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flocks they owned, for the herds they owned, for the donkeys. Thus he fed them with bread in exchange for all their livestock that year. And when that year had ended, they came to him in the next year, and said to him, we do not hide from my master that our silver is all spent. And my master also has the livestock we have owned. There has not been any left before our master but our bodies and our lands. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land, by us and by our land for the bread? And let us and our land be servants of Pharaoh, and give us seed, and let us live and not die, and let the land not lie waste. And Yusef bought the entire land of Mitzrayim for Pharaoh, of Mitzrayim for Pharaoh, because every male of the Mitzrites sold his field, because the scarcity of food was severe upon them. And the land came to be Pharaoh's. And as for the people, he moved them into the cities, from one end of the borders of Mitzrayim to the other end. Only the ground of the Kohanim he did not buy, for the Kohanim had allotments from Pharaoh, and they ate their allotments which Pharaoh gave them. Therefore they did not sell their ground. And Yusef said to the people, Look, I have bought you and your land today for Pharaoh. Look, here is seed for you, and you shall sow the land. And it shall be that in the harvest you shall give 1/5 to Pharaoh, and 4/5 is for your own, as seed for the field and for your food, for those of your households, and as food for the little ones. And they said, You have saved our height. Let us find favor in the eyes of my master, and we shall become Pharaoh's servants. And Yusef made it a law over the land of Mitzrayim to this day, that Pharaoh should have 1/5, except for the ground of the Kohanim only, which did not become Pharaoh's. Israel dwelt in the land of Mitzrayim and the land of Gushan, and they had possessions there and bore fruit and increased exceedingly. And Yaakov lived in the land of Mitzrayim 17 years. So the length of Yaakov's height was 147 years. And the time for Israel to die drew near, and he called his bond Yusef, and said to him, Now if I found favor in your eyes, please put your hand under my thigh, and show kindness and truth to me. Please do not bury me in Mitzrayim, but I shall lie with my fathers, and you shall take me up out of Mitzrayim, and shall bury me in their burial place. And he said, I do as you have said. And he said, Swear to me. And he swore to him, and Israel bowed himself on the head of his bed. Chapter 48. And after these events it came to be that it was said to Yusef, See, your father is sick. And he took with him his 2 banim, Manasseh and Ephraim. And Yaakov was told, See, your bond Yusef is coming to you. And Israel strengthened himself and sat up on his bed. And Yaakov said to Yusef, Al Shaddai appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan, and baraked me. And he said to me, See, I am making you bear fruit, and shall increase you, and make you an assembly of peoples, and give this land to your seed after you as an everlasting possession. And now, your 2 banims, Ephraim and Manasseh, who were born to you in the land of Mitzrayim before I came to you in Mitzrayim, are mine, as Reuben and Shimon, they are mine. Your offspring, whom you shall bring forth after them, are yours, and let them be called by the name of their brothers and their inheritance. And I, when I came from Padan, Rahal died beside me in the land of Canaan, on the way, when there was but a little distance to go to Ephrath. And I buried her there on the way to Ephrath, that is, Beit Laham. And Israel saw Yusef's banim, and said, Who are these? And Yusef said to his father, They are my banim, whom Elohim has given me in this place. And he said, Please bring them to me, and let me barak them. And the eyes of Israel were dim with age, and he was unable to see. And he drew them near to him, and he kissed them and embraced them. And Israel said to Yusef, I had not thought to see your face, but see, Elohim has shown me your seed. So Yusef brought them from between his knees, and bowed down with his face to the arets. And Yusef took them both, Ephraim with his right hand towards Israel's left hand, and Manasseh with his left hand towards Israel's right hand, and brought them near. And Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on Ephraim's head, who was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's head, consciously directing his hands, for Manasseh was the firstborn. And he baraked Yusef, and said, The Elohim before whom my fathers Abraham and Yitzchak walked, the Elohim who has fed me all my height, long to this day, the messenger who has redeemed me from all evil, barak the youths, and let my name be called upon them, and the name of my fathers Abraham and Yitzchak, and let them increase to a multitude in the midst of the arets. And when Yusef saw that his father laid his right hand on the head of Ephraim, it was evil in his eyes, and he took hold of his father's hand to remove it from the head of Ephraim to the head of Manasseh. And Yusef said to his father, Not so, my father, for this one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head. But his father refused and said, I know, my bond, I know. He also becomes a people, and he also is great. and yet his younger brother is greater than he, and his seed is to become the completeness of the nations. And he baraked them on that day, saying, In you Yisrael shall be Baruch, saying, Elohim, make you as Ephraim and Manasseh. Thus he put Ephraim before Manasseh. And Yisrael said to Yusuf, See, I am dying, but Elohim shall be with you, and bring you back to the land of your fathers, and I have given to you one portion above your brothers, which I took from the hand of the Amorite with my sword and with my bow. Chapter 49. And Yaakov called his Banim and said, Gather together, so that I declare to you what is to befall you in these last days. Gather together, hear, you Banim of Yaakov, and listen to Yisrael, your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my power, and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of exaltation, and the excellency of power. Unstable as the waters, you do not excel, because you went unstable as the waters. You do not excel, because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it. He went up to my couch. Shimun and Louis are brothers. Their weapons are implements of violence. Let my being not enter their council. Let my esteem not be united to their assembly, because they slew a male in their displeasure, and they lamed an ox in pleasure. Cursed be their displeasure, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I divide them in Yaakov, and scatter them in Yisrael. You, Yehuda, your brothers praise you. Your hand is on the neck of your enemies. Your father's children bow down before you. Yehuda is a lion's cub. From the prey you have gone up, my bond. He bowed down. He crouched like a lion, and like a lion, who rouses him? The scepter shall not turn aside from Yehuda, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shilu comes, and to him is the obedience of peoples. Binding his donkey to the vine, and his donkey's colt to the choice vine, he washed his garments in wine, and his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes are darker than wine, and his teeth are whiter than milk. Zabulon dwells at the seashore. He is a haven for ships, and his border unto Zidon. Yissachar is a strong donkey, lying down between two borders. And he saw that a resting place was good, and that the land was pleasant, and he inclined his shoulder to bear a burden, and became a subject to slave labor. Dan rightly rules his people as one of the tribes of Israel. Dan is a serpent, by the way, an adder by the path, that bites the horse's heels so that its rider falls backward. I have waited for your deliverance, O Yahweh. God, a raiding band raids against him, but he raids its heel. Bread from Asher is rich, and he gives delicacies of a sovereign. Naphtali is the deer let loose. He gives words of elegance. Yusuf is an offshoot of a fruit-bearing tree, an offshoot of a fruit-bearing tree by a fountain. His branches run over a wall, and archers have bitterly grieved him, and shot at him, and hated him. But his bow remained in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty one of Yaakov. From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel, from the owl of your father who assists you, and by the Al Shaddai who barak you, with barakut of the Shemaim above, barakut of the deep that lies beneath, barakut of the breast of the womb. The barakut of your father have excelled the barakut of my ancestors, up to the limit of everlasting hills. They are on the head of Yusuf, and on the crown of the head of him who was separated from his brothers. Benjamin is a wolf that tears in the bakar. He eats prey, and at night he divides the spoil. All these are the 12 tribes of Israel, and this is what their father spoke to them. And he baraked them. He baraked each one according to his own barakah. And he commanded them and said to them, I am to be gathered to my people, Bury me with my fathers in the cave that is in the field of Ephron the Hittite, and the cave that is in the field of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, and the land of Canaan, which Abraham bought with the field of Ephron the Hittite as a possession for a burial site. There they are buried Abraham and Sarah his wife, and they buried Yitzchak and Rivkah his wife, and there I buried Leah, the field purchased, and the cave which is in it, from the Banim of Ha. And when Yaakov ended commanding his Banim, he drew his feet up into the bed and breathed his last, and was gathered to his people. Chapter 50. And Yosef fell on his father's face and wept over him, and kissed him. And Yosef commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father. So the physicians embalmed Yisrael, and 40 days were completed for him. For so are the completed the days of embalming. And the Mitzrites wept for him 70 days. And when the days of weeping for him were past, Yosef spoke to the household of Pharaoh, saying, If now I have found favor in your eyes, please speak in the hearing of Pharaoh, saying, My father made me swear, saying, See, I am dying, bury me in my grave which I dug for myself in the land of Canaan. And now, please let me go up and bury my father, and return. And Pharaoh said, Go up and bury your father, as he made you swear. And Yosef went up to bury his father, and with him went up all the servants of Pharaoh, and the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Mitzrayim, and all the house of Yosef, and his brothers, and his father's house. Only their little ones, and their flocks, and their herds, they left in the land of Goshen. And there went up with him both chariots and horse riders, and it was a very great company. They came to the threshing floor of Atad, which is beyond the Jordan, and they lamented there with great and heavy lamentation. And he observed 7 days of mourning for his father. And when the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, saw the mourning at the threshing floor of Atad, they said, This is a grievous mourning for the Mitzrites. That is why its name is called Abal Mitzrayim, which is beyond the Jordan. And his Banim did to him as he had commanded him. For his Banim brought him into the land of Canaan, and buried him in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, which Abraham bought with the field from Ephron the Hittite as a property for a burial site. And after he had buried his father, Yosef returned to Mitzrayim, he and his brothers, and all who went up with him, to bury his father. And when Yosef's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, What if Yosef hates us and pays us back the evil which we did to him? And they sent word to Yosef, saying, Before your father died, he commanded, saying, This is what you are to say to Yosef. I beg you, please forgive the transgression of your brothers and their crime, for they did evil to you. And now please forgive the transgression of the servants of Elohim of your father. And Yosef wept when they spoke to him. And his brothers also went and fell down before his face, and they said, See, we are your servants. And Yosef said to them, Do not fear, for am I in the place of Elohim? And you intended evil against me, but Elohim intended it for good, in order to do it as it is to this day, to keep a great much people alive. And now do not fear, I provide for you and your little ones. So he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. And Yosef dwelt in Mitzrayim, he and his father's household. And Yosef lived 110 years. And Yosef saw Ephraim's children to the 3rd generation. The children of Machir, Ban and Manasseh, were also brought up on Yosef's knees. And Yosef said to his brothers, I am dying, but Elohim shall certainly visit you, and bring you out of this land, to the land of which he swore to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov. And Yosef made the children of Israel swear, saying, Elohim shall certainly visit you, and shall bring up my bones from here. And Yusuf died, being 110 years old, and they embalmed him, and he was placed in a coffin in Mitzrayim, Barashyt.